Hello Maya.
Hi V. So V, why do people feel they need to find a nice way, or use politeness, to ask people to do something?
Great question. In 1987, Brown and Levinson developed a theory that seeks to explain why people use politeness. According to Brown and Levinson, people will tend to select a politeness strategy that increases the likelihood of compliance by reducing the risk of reactions caused by a threat to another's notion of face. Additionally, the theory posits that people also use politeness to reduce the risk of threat to their own face.
Alright, but please explain what they mean by face.
Brown and Levinson define face using two concepts: negative face and positive face. In simpler terms, negative face is a person's need to be free from imposition or not bothered by another, and positive face is the desire to be liked and respected by others. Brown and Levinson also suggest that there are 5 politeness strategies a person might select to mitigate the risk to face posed by a demand. These would be: 1. Boldly or bluntly without polite language. 2. Using positive politeness. 3. Using negative politeness. 4. By going off record. And 5. By not making the demand.
Okay, and what does the theory state as the process for selecting a politeness strategy?
Brown and Levinson argue that in selecting which politeness strategies to use, people weigh the level of risk for threatening another's negative or positive face and how that may affect another person's willingness to comply with the demand.
So, generally when people are making a demand, they will select a politeness strategy that will get people to comply without disrespecting them in the process?
In theory, yes, but in practice each case probably needs to be studied in the context of the particular situation, taking background, culture, and other factors into consideration.
Okay, but would you please provide an example that we could analyze and use to explain the theory in some sort of context?
Sure. We can start by analyzing an internet posting by Laura Lee where she asks for help in crafting a polite communication.
Okay, so I guess Lorelei feels politeness will help her get others to take off their shoes before entering her home. But why? I mean, it's her house and her rules, so why does she feel the need to be polite?
According to Brown and Levinson's theory, Lorelei chooses a politeness strategy that meets her desire to have people take their shoes off based on her understanding that other people may see her demand as a threat to their negative face. Likewise, she must weigh the risk to face posed by the demand. For example, the demand might be seen as restriction on their freedom to choose to keep their shoes on. However, by saying please, she can reduce the threat to their negative face by implying they are taking their shoes off at their own pleasure.
Oh. So if she did not use please or some other polite way to ask her guests to take off their shoes, the bold demand might induce reactions on the part of the guests, causing them to do the opposite of what she asks. They may refuse by saying, "Since you didn't ask nicely, I will not take my shoes off."
Yes. Likewise, her choice in using politeness might also be explained by a motivation to support her own positive face by maintaining a self-image of a nice, considerate person who wants to have her rules appreciated. Now, she does note in her post that she would like to find a nice way to say please take your shoes off, so she may be indicating that just adding the word please doesn't do enough to mitigate the threat to face.
Of course. She also states in her post that she doesn't want to seem pushy or weird. So, she may feel that, "Please take your shoes off," is too bold of a statement. Hence, she would like to come up with a message that leverages more positive politeness where it influences the positive face of her guests by making them want to be appreciated for complying with the demand. For example, she could post a sign that states, "Please be a dear and leave your shoes in the mudroom."
That's great. And it looks like you are grasping the basic concepts of Brown and Levinson's theory of politeness. But make sure to study some of the work done by their critics because it's important to consider different points of view when trying to understand the phenomena of polite behavior.
Will do. I think this was a good focus using Brown and Levinson though, because we looked specifically at politeness in the context of making a demand or asking someone to do something. It provides an easy scenario to explain why politeness is used to mitigate the risk to face and increase the likelihood of compliance with the demand.
Yes, it does, Maya. Thanks for doing this video with me, and I look forward to working with you soon.
Anytime, V. And thank you as well. Although, maybe in the next video we can analyze the polite language we used here and use Brown and Levinson to explain why we did.